guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video I'm gonna quickly explain to you the reason why I've chosen to give up my allotments. After I've done a couple of videos where I generally just mentioned that unfortunately I no longer have the allotments due to the incident that happened there. Many of you expressed your concerns via emails and messages, and all of you really wanted to know what actually happened. And rather than me guys responding to all of you individually, which will take a really long time, I thought it was a good idea just to bring out the video for you who wants to hear a little bit of gossip. So there we are, guys. So first of all, just wanted to let you know I've only had my allotment for one growing season. I've been waiting for this in this house for 4 years, so you can imagine I was really upset, and obviously to be able to have to make this decision to give it up. The allotments were inherited and were in a pretty dire state, so if you haven't seen my videos last year, I'll put the link down below. I've put a lot of effort into obviously trying to get those allotments to the state of, you know, be able to grow decent vegetables, and you can imagine it actually took a lot of effort and a lot of time. For this year as well, I have planted already in my greenhouse like 48 sweet corns, I don't know, probably 100 something sets of potatoes. There was a lot of stuff already planted, ready to go. So just to get to the point, basically, guys, in the allotment, okay, there's like 24 plots. There are some people have multiples, not very many. Myself, yes, I had 2. There are 2 chairmen on the committee and the 1 secretary, and the rest are just ordinary people as you wish. So the other couple of weeks back, we had our annual meeting, and I've been put on the kind of on the spot to basically go and pick up a polytunnel, because I'm the only one on the allotment that have the van, and the allotment was waiting for the polytunnel from council for many years. And unfortunately, there's actually one of the ladies on the allotment had the polytunnel and she wanted to give it away. So it was kind of a no-brainer that she said she wanted to donate this to the allotment. So they kind of put me on the spot to come and collect the polytunnel like there and then, which I wasn't able to do because we had plans on that Saturday afternoon. So I did promise say that when we have an opportunity, when my husband's off work, obviously one of the weekends, that we'll go and collect it on the way to the allotment. So couple of weeks ago, we had a very lovely Sunday morning, so we decided to pop into the allotment, do some work, and on the way, of course, to pick up a polytunnel. So I've messaged the lady to which I was going to collect the polytunnel from, and at the same time I messaged one of the committee people that we kind of got a little bit friendly over the, you know, you got the WhatsApp group, and they kind of encourage people to sort of commune together and discuss things. But anyway, so I messaged him saying I'm going to be at the lady's house to pick up a greenhouse, say at 9 o'clock, and he said that he'll make his way. He might be a little bit late, but he'll make his way and help us out, because it is, all in all, it is for the community, and it's for the allotment's sake, and there's no really reason why we should be doing this by ourselves, but especially as well we have a little one with us. So anyway, once we got there, we're waiting for the chap to arrive. He called me up and said he was apparently running late. However, there's going to be another guy from the allotment who will come to help us, just in case he arrives a little bit too late. So on and on, guys, we've been waiting probably for approximately 40 minutes, where the other guy, second guy, didn't actually show up. So the initial guy from the committee showed up and was giving us a hand. Just to give you an example, guys, this is a big polytunnel, and I think the length of that probably just over 5 meters. My van is only 4 meters long in terms of the internal carriage capacity. So after loading pretty much majority of the metal poles, the metal little semicircles and things like that, it all went in there. The wood was the last bit to go. Just as we were starting to load, or attempting to load the wood in, the phone rang because the guy wasn't actually where he needed to be, and he'd gone to the allotment rather than to come and help us in the van. So he asked him, the number 1 guy asked him to bring a saw, because apparently it looked like we had to cut the wood a little bit because it just wouldn't fit in the van. So the guy showed up probably about half an hour later, after we pretty much loaded all but the wood, and totally blanked, like myself, my husband. It was just nothingness. It was just totally like we weren't there. The whole idea is we were there at somebody else's property doing the favor for the allotment, and first of all we just ignored. I'd said hello, he just totally blanked me. I'll wash this aside, guys. This is not the reason, and I understand some people have no manners. That's a different matter. Anyway, so the point being, we're trying to get the wood into the van. He brought in the saw because we had to cut the wood. He made a suggestion that we wouldn't cut the wood because he wants to sit in the back of the van and hold the wood. So we basically have 1 meter sticking out in the back of the van, and then we would drive to the allotment. Well, at which we clearly disagreed, because this is not a legal thing to do. Firstly, I'm not having and driving my, it's a big van, having another, door open and have a meter long wood sticking out was not acceptable. And especially having another person sitting in the back with the doors open, it also wasn't a good choice. So at this point, he's already started to get irritating and a little bit stroppy. Then he tried to make a decision of which point should we cut the wood. Should we cut it right on the end or in the middle? Anyway, so he made a decision. We just let him do with this, and we decided to basically cut it, literally cut the 1.5 meters off, so you have a biggest enough chance to be able to do something with. So at this point, he was already particularly not happy and getting really grumpy and sort of huffing and puffing like people do. Anyway, so imagine the situation, guys, right? My husband standing on the front of the van holding the wood, because the wood is resting on a front of the van, if that makes sense, on the inside. I'm holding the wood on the total other side, sticking out on the other side of the van, and he's standing there with a saw trying to cut it. It wasn't going his way, the saw wasn't working. He was kind of looking at me, and I think my husband said he was stressing because he didn't like the way I was holding the wood. Whether I was holding it too high or too low, I don't know, but rather than communicating with me, he was just getting stroppy and huffing and puffing. Shortly after, his brother came along, and they started bickering or talking really loudly, and I couldn't really, everything was happening super fast, right? And the next thing that we know, he's standing there screaming at each other. He was waving the saw around while I'm standing there literally just less than a meter behind him. My child was around with the other lady. However, children could be running around, you're just not always able to control them. She wasn't right there, but she could have been. The chances are, obviously, things would have turned out a different way. But the point is, he was standing there, he started screaming at him, he started to throwing the saw around, and then again, guys, he could have dropped it, nobody knew what the intentions were, and of course, my husband, as you've seen, you got, his wife on the other side, meter away from somebody who was basically throwing a weapon around, and then my child just nearby. He started to kind of sort of suss on the situation, and within seconds, or to what felt like seconds, my brain couldn't comprehend this. He just picked up the saw, he threw this into the van, the saw fell out, the wood fell out, the saw bounced back, and he started to go into the car. So my husband, I'm standing there absolutely gobsmacked, and I'm thinking, is that just really what's just happened? So my husband quickly gone after the bloke, and basically in a way like you imagine a man that just witnessed somebody basically waving a wood saw around and then throwing this around me in the van, totally disrespecting me, disrespecting our time, and disrespecting my van. He kind of gone after him, he gone in the car, and he basically told him, you're behaving like an absolute twat, and to be fair, you really deserve a good hiding. So if you ever behave or do anything like this again, you will get a good hiding. So he was huffing and puffing, he was stropping, he was saying something, but it was basically, this is kind of along the line that things were said. So he then drove off. So I'm standing there, I'm almost in tears, because I totally did not expect a nice Sunday afternoon, or Sunday morning, turn into that kind of debate and be so disrespectful and potentially be put in a position where I potentially could have been hurt. So he's driven off, and the committee guy said, oh, I'm really sorry, but said, well, actually, he needs to be struck off of the allotment. This is totally unacceptable behavior. We're helping. I understand you can get stroppy. Do not wave the saw around on other people, and certainly do not throw stuff in the van so it then bounces out on the floor. It is totally unacceptable. He's like probably 55, I would imagine 60. This is not an acceptable behavior. So anyway, later on we find out that actually he said this is his brother, and he goes, well, he has issues. I watched this over for this seconds anyway. He said, so I'm really sorry. He really shouldn't behave this way. It's totally out of order. It really shouldn't. So I'll get him to apologize, but he honestly shouldn't have done that. But he definitely has, he's got some, mental problems. Not being funny, mental problems or not, do not wave the saw around me or around my child or around my van. It is not what you do. If he has mental problems, you know this, do not let him have the saw. There's many things out there that if you know that somebody's that unstable with that behavior, you do not let him, any other people with the basically potential weapons or basically a wood saw. This is not acceptable. So anyway, you can see my blood is literally boiling. So we were driven, obviously, going down to allotment to offload the polytunnel, and of course that guy wasn't there, because if he was there, I probably would have given him a good hiding for this bloody stupid behavior. Anyway, we offloaded the thing, and again, the brother was all over me. He's like, oh, really sorry for my brother's behavior, really sorry, it shouldn't be happening. I would just get him to buy your husband a drink. What does he drink? You know, red or white, that kind of thing. Oh, pally. So I'm like, okay. Anyway, rather than spending the day in the afternoon, day in the allotment, we decided just to pack it in and just gone home. It totally ruined the mood. And on the way there, my husband was like, I'm certainly not going back there ever again. But he's the one that did a lot of trimming and the grass cutting in the summer, because half of them I just can't be asked doing it. So he's like, I'm not going there again. It's just not going to happen. I totally understand, because if I see that guy there, I wouldn't be comfortable being there. And if I was my husband and I see him there, I probably would want to, you know, give him a good damn hiding for such a behavior without even apologizing. So anyway, once we got home, we just fed a bit, sit down in the garden, and had a text message from a second committee member saying that Dan been banned from the allotment for foreseeable future until they investigate the issue. So of course I get the yump, as you do anyway, and I said, well, I assume that the other guy is banned from allotment as well. Well, because he's got bees on the allotment, they said he's allowed to go there to attend to his bees. So I'm like, well, what's the difference, right? Daniel could be attending to you know, the plants, he's attending to the bees, and it's kind of, you know, it's kind of potato. It's not really fair, but nonetheless, so he goes, once a week he was allowed to attend to his bees, and that's that. And he said they were going to be, yes, investigating this for the other members. I'm like, okay, I understand you can investigate, but because I was obviously upset, guys, and you can imagine rather angry, I said, well, it's not even, the fact is, it's not actually even happened on the territory of the allotment. If it was happening as the car park, we probably wouldn't be having the same conversation. But because it happened, you know, on the allotment, but on the allotment's purpose, basically, I think that's why the committee said they're going to obviously try to investigate it. So after I had this message, I've basically messaged the guy on the committee, then the first guy that was with us at the count, you know, what happened. And I basically said, you know what, the way it's going, I think, you know, he's been banned. I don't think it's fair. But he goes, well, you know, but you did, you know, he did threaten to punch him. Not being funny, but any normal man with, you know, without the boyfriend like he is, would probably do the same, and actually would probably go ahead and punch him for that sort of behavior around his wife and children. So anyway, so he was begging me on the messaging not to leave the allotment. So I'm like, okay, I just left it. I haven't responded. I was going to ponder on it. And then after actually talking to the committee guy number 2, which I assumed, well, obviously his brother grassed me up, not me up, but obviously asked the whole situation up. He actually said, no, it wasn't actually the brother that did this. There was initial guy on the committee number 1. So basically, after begging me and pleading me to stay and saying his brother needs to apologize, he basically just yanked the knife in my back and basically complained to the committee with hoping to get me banned from the allotments. So I quickly stopped communicating with the guy, because I knew that I could possibly say many other things, and there's no point getting bitchy. So anyway, the idea was, guys, they were going to find the solution to say basically who was right and who was wrong. And you can look at both situations from a different angle. However, if somebody waves a saw around, okay, around anybody's there, they don't deserve to be anywhere there. To me, this is the violent, aggressive behavior. Those people shouldn't be allowed to be on the allotment near the other people. Yes, of course, my husband said he needs a good hiding, but to be fair, words is one thing. He just said that he didn't actually punch him, but physically waving the saw around, this is to me already is an act of aggression, and it's not something that should be acceptable. So after basically talking to the secretary lady and to the other guy, they actually found out that the committee number 1 guy actually keep changing the story between all of them, trying to suit the needs for his brother. And at some point he was happy, understood that that's what had to be done because the brother was banned from the allotment, and then he changed the story and actually he wasn't happy. And apparently when they had the meetings, he's actually offended a secretary and the number 2 committee guy so badly that both of those people have resigned from their positions at the allotment. So basically what we're left with now, guys, is one committee person, okay, that's able to make all of the decisions, okay, and obviously the rest of the people, they're on the allotment. So my point is, obviously the brother stays. The brother would never leave because, well, he's on the committee. His brother probably can bloody throttle somebody with a saw and he will still stay there. He will still protect him. So my point is, guys, the whole unfair point that for 2 people to resign, okay, from the committee and the secretary thing, it must have been pretty nasty. And none of them, I can imagine, wanted to deal with this whole situation because it's kind of, it's really new and it's a really peculiar situation. However, no person like him should be left in power for the whole allotment. So my thoughts were, because obviously time heals, but couple of weeks have passed. I'm still really sad because I still would like to have my allotment, or an allotment anyway. But my main point is, this kind of part aside, I don't want this person being on the allotment. They not deserve to be in the power if they are literally single-handedly going to make the decisions that benefit themselves. So it's got to be somebody above that controls the allotment. The allotment is something that obviously rented from council by a local council. They give you the land, and obviously people that manage that. But it's got to be somebody above them to be able to strike off people like him, because his general behavior, attitude towards other community members, and the fact that they reside, and the fact that his brother have mental issues, and yet he still let him deal with the swords and stuff like this, and be around people when he's unstable, it is not acceptable. So I don't know the legalities of how the allotments work, but my thought is I want to go to council, and I want to get in touch with the council and to see whoever is there may be responsible for the allotment area, somebody who can make a decision and actually get rid of people like this, because it's got to be, otherwise he could just control and manipulate anything to his advantage. And he did on this year's allotment agreement. He changed the rules to suit him. For example, the dogs weren't allowed in the allotment for a very good reason. And yes, you can pick up a dog shit, that's one thing, but dogs also piss on the rhubarb and things like that. And dogs were not allowed on the allotment until this time. He changed this to suit because he has a dog. I've seen this dog pissing on the rhubarb on many, many plots, and that should not be allowed. But because he's on the committee, he can change the rules, he can do what he wants. Another numerous amount of times, especially the last one was just about a week ago, before the whole situation. We had rain, guys. We had rain for months and months and months, and it's soggy, it's sodden. It is not particularly the great place to do anything until the soil dries out. But it was potentially a sunny afternoon, I think one of the Wednesdays, and on Friday I had a message said, oh, sorry, I haven't seen an allotment all week. What's happening? We have life. I've got the job. I've got the kid. I've got the garden. I've got many things to do like everybody else, because he doesn't have anything to do apart from go to the allotment. Doesn't mean nobody else does. But the pressure as well of, because he pretends to be the man, the big thing, the big cheese, because he is on the committee on the allotment, you've got the right to say, well, you've not been on the allotment for a week. Oh, I'm bloody sorry. But the point is, if I've grown stuff and the allotment is sturdy and is A-okay, without covering in weeds, that's the whole main problem, then absolutely fine, just leave me to it. You don't need the pressure. I don't need the pressure from anybody to tell me that I've not been in allotment for a week. I know I haven't been in allotment for a week, but I have to find an excuse why I wasn't there, which is something that shouldn't been happening. So that's the point, guys. So that's left me basically with the allotment. I said it wasn't an easy decision to make, but after pondering, I thought, to be fair, and especially after going there, and I felt like I really didn't want to be there, it kind of ruined the whole thing for me. But my aim now is to make sure I can try find, but whatever means possible, to get this guy out of there. Actually, both of them, to be fair, because none of them, to be fair, I don't think I deserve to be there. Not with the shitty attitude and not with the violent outbreaks like this around other people. This is not acceptable. So if any of you know anything, like ever way I could possibly go about that, some people suggested, and I could have done, actually could have called the police, because to me that was a violent incident. But I'm talking about taking this to obviously the council to get something down and get them off. So if any of you know any rules, legislations, or anything I could possibly do, or anywhere else I can go to have this problem resolved, that'd be greatly appreciated. But as it stands at the moment, guys, I've stuck with my little garden, and it's still pissing down with rain constantly. So it's not a lot I can do right now. But any of the help from you guys will be greatly appreciated. So I will stop running now. I'll stop not running, I'll stop ranting, probably not having a glass of wine in a minute. And well, please comment down below your thoughts, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye.